Hello, everyone. It's Lindsay, and today I'm back with a look at the newest release from ByTheWell4God. This is a biblical thanks. This is the devotional study we'll be working on through the month of November 2024. I do have all of the extras off camera here. We will be going through everything. Now, I know it's taken me a few extra days to get this video up. I wanted to do kind of some in-detailed tutorials and put together some extra resources for you guys and just, kind of add some value to my unboxing. And I filmed the entire thing yesterday, hour and a half long, and it just wasn't up to my standards. So I scrapped it. We're refilming, so you may notice some things are already unwrapped or not quite in the right order. That's because I've already gone through the whole thing and did all the tutorials and all the things. But I have a very high bar that I set for myself when it comes to my videos. And so we're redoing this, but I did check. There are still kits available as of the filming of this video. They are going quick though. There aren't a ton left. So I will have all of the links down below for you guys. Those are affiliate links. So thank you for using those and helping support what I do here on my channel. They are going quick, like I said. So you may want to open another tab, start creating your cart. I do have timestamps down below if you want to fast forward and look at specific things as you put together your order. I did pull some additional product that is in the shop that you may want to check out as you're looking at the new release. And like I said, I'm going to have some detailed tutorials in this video as well. So you can always come back to this video and those will be marked in the timestamps down below. So it'll be easy for you guys to find. But let's dive in and take a look at a biblical thanks. This devotional study was written by Judy Allen, and in your order, you'll get a thank you card, and this has got some information about the kit. And so I'm just going to read from here so you get kind of an idea of what the devotional content is about that Judy wrote for us. So she says, from an early childhood, we are taught the importance of saying thank you. For believers, there are many admonitions in Scripture to be thankful or give thanks. So our childhood instruction and scriptural instruction, the same kind of action? Not at all. Giving of thanks in the Bible is far beyond a simple thank you. We're so glad you're joining us this month as we discover the rich, multifaceted biblical definition of thanks, as well as the implications for our lives. Then we'll examine individuals like Paul, David, and the Lord Jesus. Why did they give thanks? For what did they thank God? We are recommended to give thanks, so it's imperative that we understand exactly what that means. What is biblical thanks? I love this, of course, as we're heading into November with Thanksgiving, right? And so this is very, kind of on trend with what, is kind of in our lives for this month. And I'm excited to share some ideas for some of the products that are outside of Bible journaling that I think you can incorporate into this season that I'm excited about. So your thank you card also includes information about where all you can find ByTheWell4God, their Facebook page, their Instagram. Don't forget to sign up for the email list. That's how you're notified of restocks and new products. And when the kit goes live, they don't spam your email. It's just the things that you need to know that are going on in the shop. So definitely be a part of that email. And then, of course, the hashtag for this month. You can always search that hashtag on social media to see what people are posting and sharing about. And then if you yourself are posting, we ask that you use that hashtag. It doesn't necessarily have to be what you're creating. Maybe you're just working through the devotional study and it's just a photo of a day in your life. Use that hashtag. We want to build a community around the study of the devotional and our Bible study that we're doing this month. And it's not just about the art, right? It's about the things that we're learning as we dive in and take a closer look at our Bibles and see what God has in store for us. And so even if you're not making, maybe you're in a season where you're not doing a lot of Bible journaling, you're just doing a lot of reading and studying. That's okay. You are part of this community too. And we are excited to join in with you and see what you're learning and what you're doing throughout the month. So those hashtags stay good. So if you're watching this video down the road and you want to see kind of what the community did as they work through this, you can search that hashtag and see what was created. The back of your card is going to have a sneak peek of the following month's kit. So this is the kit we'll be working through in December. This will release mid-November. They give this to you so that you kind of can have an idea of what's coming down the pipeline, have an idea of what the topic's going to be, kind of a little peek into the style, the graphics. We're going to be looking at who is the Messiah. Super exciting for that. And so that way, especially this time of year where we are bleeding money, it feels like, right? As we head into the holiday season, we can kind of budget if it's something that we think that we are going to want to add into, our study or our Bible studies or our Bible study supplies, but also Bible journaling supplies. And that way you can kind of prep for that kit coming. And so I do appreciate that they do that. So that is the thank you card. It does come with some freebie goodies. I choose not to share those on my channel. A lot of my followers ask that it be a surprise. But I know some of the other ladies on the team do share that. So if you want to see what's in the freebies, you can check out some of the other unboxings from the team members to see what's included in there. But let's dive into the kit. We say that if you can only get one thing from the release, this is what we suggest that you get because of course it has the devotional study. This is the meat of the entire release. This is the purpose behind what they do. It's helping and encouraging women to get in their Bible and spend more time in there studying and just spending time with God, which is very, very important. Of course, there's lots of fun goodies. We'll go through all of those. Everything for the kit comes in these nice drawstring bags that make it very easy to store everything. As you're working through the kit and after the kit. I had a question box on Instagram this week to get some ideas of things that you guys would like to see in my unboxing video. And one of the things somebody asked about was how I store my kits when I'm done with them. So I'm going to touch on that really quick before we dive into the study. Let me grab one of the things that I utilize. Okay, so when I'm done with a kit, this is kind of what I do. First off, everything that is from the kit goes back in the bag. So the devotional goes back in the bag. Any ephemera that's specific to it goes back in the bag. And any of the clear stickers go back in the bag. And I store those. Now, that's just because with the nature of what I do, I'm not going through these studies as deep as I would like. I'm just not in that season of life right now. So my hope is that one day when I'm not as busy online and not creating content, I will have time to come back and work through these studies again in a deeper way. So I kind of hold together those things in the bag. But things that I know that I can kind of mix and match and use with other things, products, projects, go in these storage containers. So these are from scrapbook.com. And I store all of my labels, the tile alphas, journaling cards. I have another one that has some additional cards in it, and those go in here. So I do separate out and try to keep my labels in like rainbow order. Same thing with my alphas. Right now they're kind of a mess because I used them for a class recently, but I keep them in rainbow order. That way when I'm working on something, I can just pull out the color that I want to coordinate. I do also store like flashcards in here. I don't have as many of these because a lot of these do get incorporated into my projects throughout the month. But, library cards, things that are neutral go in here, but also, all the different like journaling cards go in here. I'm sure one day I'll go through and also kind of color organize these so they're better used. But this is a great resource for me for organizing all of my supplies. Stamps go into baskets that are on my shelves behind me. So I have all of my stamps organized by category. And so the stamps get pulled out and put into those. If I was to put the stamp in here, I would not utilize it as much as I should be utilizing it. So that's why I don't do that. So that's just kind of how I organize. Now, know that in your home, you just need to do what works best for you. It's okay to mix and match. I don't mix and match companies just because of the nature of what I do here online. I try to keep those separate. For the sake of those companies. But if I was just not sharing online and just at home and not working for different companies, I would have everything mixed together. I would be, probably doing a lot more projects if I wasn't having to film and photograph and do write-ups and things like that. So you just need to kind of take maybe some ideas of things that I use and adapt it for what works best for you to make sure that you're using your items. We don't want things to just sit there and not get used. Okay, so let's dive in and take a look at everything that comes in the devotional kit. So starting with the devotional, Yvonne, this is for you. I did forget this the first time that I filmed it, showing you the entire booklet. So you can see the beautiful imagery on the front of it. This is going to give you an idea of the graphics and style that we'll see throughout this release. So this is a biblical thanks. It is in a standard traveler's notebook size. Now I know, in years past and different companies do like a 30-day project in November. But the devotional this month is a 14-day devotional like we typically see from By the Well. I do believe they'll be releasing a printable. I'm not sure if it'll be a paid for or free printable that will have a daily scripture project if you want to do that alongside this or instead of this. But for the devotional content, they stuck with the typical 14-day. Now, it says 14 days, but the idea is that you would study and read and do all of that part on one day, and then the next day come back and do the artistic reflection portion. And that would take you through an entire month for the study. So that is how that's structured. Yours will not have the blue in it. I've already gone ahead and gone through and highlighted all of the scripture that Judy has for us in here, and it is a ton. I mean, you can see just how much blue is in here. I mean, that is majority scripture, which is great. So there's going to be lots and lots of really, really good study this month as we look at just that. What does the Bible say about being thankful? And I'm excited about this because some of you have been following me on Instagram and know we just started a new Bible club at the college that I'm at. And I had the privilege of facilitating the meeting this last week. And I chose to cover Philippians 4:6, specifically because a lot of the members were, like most of our youth in today's world, are battling anxiety. And so, kind of addressing it from that perspective. But in that verse is talking about praying thanksgiving, giving thanks to God. And, that's part of kind of the balm for our anxious hearts, right? Is recognizing and remembering the things that God has done for us and being thankful for that. And so I'm excited to dive in and kind of continue this study on that theme with this devotional. One thing I want to point out is the bibliography. Really take advantage of this. Judy has a ton of resources this month in the bibliography. If you're looking to expand your study library or, different resources you want to utilize, or maybe just to double check things. We always should be double checking things. I've never had an issue with the teachings from ByTheWell4God, but I do still double check things. Same thing with, theologians my pastor might mention, or, if I'm reading a book and a quote or something that's in there, I double check where it's coming from. And so this is full of a ton of great resources. I noticed she's got SpurgeonGems.org. That was a website I wasn't familiar with, and I'm excited to check that out. I know some of you may be seeing, a lot of ladies do post Spurgeon quotes and passages and things like that, and might be wondering, like, where did they get these? I've wondered that. I come across them sometimes in commentary, but I didn't really know that there was one specific place that you could go to. Side note, I just finished up a project in my sculpture class. We had to do a bust with human features. Everybody else did like anime and cartoon characters, and I'm too old for that. So I actually created a bust of Charles Spurgeon, which gave me the opportunity when it came time to be critiqued this week to share who Charles Spurgeon is with an entire class of young people. So we won't be sharing that online because I'm not going to be a professional sculpturist anytime soon. But it's been a good class for stretching me out of my comfort zone. But it was fun kind of connecting that to what I do here with you. I don't get a lot of crossover in my lives. I kind of have my online life and then my real in-person life, and so it's kind of neat to see those cross over. But all that to say, take advantage of the various resources that are in the bibliography. And so I'm very excited to go through this study. Now that midterms are done, I'm hoping I have a little bit of more time, and my son is driving. I don't know though. I feel like I'm still scrambling. So there is a biblical thanks. Now let's take a look at all of the fun goodies that come in that kit as well. So you've got your ephemera. So there's 31 ephemera pieces plus a texture. So the texture are things like doilies or burlap or buttons or, just various things like that. This month you are getting some jute twine. This is really fun. I love textures like this. Fall is my favorite. I love the leaves and the color and all the textures. And this kit is very texture heavy without being textured. And you'll see what I mean as we look at some of the papers and things like that. But this is an actual physical texture. So you can incorporate this into your pages, but you could also just create little bow clips or something like that with this, which I think is fun. So for the ephemera pieces, there's a variety of kind of sizes in here, and it's all going to be around kind of a fall, like I want to say farm farm without the animals, homestead. I live in Central California, so we produce most of the produce for a lot of this country and many other countries comes out of the area where I live at. And so, I've got pomegranates in my yard. We've got the Apple Festival was last weekend. And so this just really speaks to what is in my life right now. And so there's lots of fun produce. I do really love that they went with fall without it being super heavy into pumpkins. There are a few pumpkins in here, and I know we love pumpkins, but I don't know. I've been Bible journaling for several years now, almost 10 years. And I don't know. I'm kind of done with pumpkins for fall, but these ones are cute. We've got all of these really beautiful, plaids and textures and fabrics. I love the colors of kind of the oranges and browns and that really deep kind of, what is it, like... not Levi's, not jeans, denim blue. And then you have these fun girls. These are so adorable. This is me. When I can finally not have to worry about my house being too hot and I can turn on my oven and cook all the things, I live in an apron all the time. And I wish that I had an apron as beautiful as some of these girls' aprons. Aren't these amazing? I actually was just making fire honey yesterday, and today I'm going to Sprouts and picking up some more things, making homemade cough drops today. So no fun, jams and breads quite yet. We're kind of prepping for the 6th season, but you've got little farm stand, so cute, sweet potatoes, and then you've got some, hats, a recipe box, which you'll see this kind of incorporated into some of the items. I love how they took the book and put Holy Bible on there. A few more pumpkins, pecan pie. We're going to see this in something later on. Maple syrup. I buy this in jugs. This goes in my coffee every single morning. So you can see that there are a variety of sizes and shapes. Now, when you order the kit, you do get access to the digitals. So they'll send you the digital file for the graphics from the kit. Those are for personal use only. So things like what you see here in the ephemera, the stickers, the journaling cards, those you'll have the files for, so you can print them, in different sizes on different mediums. If you want something, a little bit different, or you want more of something, maybe you are somebody who loves pumpkins and wants a ton of those pumpkins, you can reprint those and have, additional pieces of those elements. So those are the ephemera pieces. Next, we have the verse cards. So this usually includes a key verse from the study. So we have Psalm 79:13. But we, your people, the sheep of your pasture, will give thanks to you forever. From generation to generation, we will recount your praise. And this does come with 2 bow clips, so you can use these at the top of your pages or your planner or, whatever. I like to deconstruct them. They are actually 2 pieces of fabric in here. And so I deconstruct them and then use this fabric in my clustering that I do on my pages, just as some added texture. But how adorable is that print with the acorns? We went camping a couple weeks ago, and it was in a old oak forest. And oh my gosh, the acorns were insane. Like, there was actually broken glass all around where we parked our car because somebody's window had gotten broken from falling acorns. So I don't know. I'm just ready to get cozy, guys. All right, the stamp set this month. So this is a 4x6 clear stamp set, and it is a table setting. And I know you're kind of like, how am I going to use this? I have so many ideas. So there are actually at least 2 days of the devotional where she talks about communion and the Last Supper. So these will be great for documenting that. But I thought about also using this outside of our Bible journaling. So making place settings for our, dinner table. We've kind of taken a few weeks off, but we've been really encouraging ourselves to invite people into our home and do little dinner gatherings at our home. And I love, it does not have to be Pottery Barn, decked out to the nines. But I do like to, kind of make it fun. I have some, pretty pottery that I put out, and maybe doing some place settings and using these to create little custom place cards, I think would be really cute. Here's some ideas for how to do some layering. So this little piece here you could use individually, but I like the idea of layering it over the plate. You could even kind of stamp mask and layer it over the napkin if you wanted to. There are videos online how to do stamp masking. So if you want to layer the knife, it's already done here, but let's say you wanted to layer these pieces on the plate, right? make it look like it's a finished plate. It is done. It is finished. Oh, there's an idea. But you don't want intersecting lines. So there are tutorials online. I know I've done it years and years ago called stamp masking. So you actually stamp the image that's closest to you. So if this wasn't one piece, you would stamp your knife first, and then you would stamp it on a sticky note, cut it out, stick that over your stamped image, and then go ahead and stamp the plate. And that's going to protect the knife from getting the lines of the plate in it. Now you don't have to do that because this is already one piece, but I'm just saying if you're wanting to layer other items up together, that is an idea. So search out stamp masking, but I think that this is going to be a fun one. I could also see using this with the pattern papers and doing like paper piecing. You may have seen there was like a platter in the ephemera pieces, this one right here. So maybe you want to stamp this on some of the pattern papers and piece it together to create a patterned plate. I think that would be really pretty. So lots of different ways to use this. I like that it's kind of, open and plain so you can dress it up and use it not just for fall decor, but, future journaling projects as well. So there is the stamp set. Okay, so typically this comes in a nice wrapped bag, which I will be using for something else here in a minute, but like I said, I already opened mine, and this bag does include the paint card. So this is a sample card of Daniel Smith watercolors. This month you're actually getting 7 colors. I know this because I started to do my 6-color swatch and realized it wasn't going to work, so I had to scrap it, redo it. These take several hours to put together, so that's part of the reason this video has taken so long. I've had to work on it a little bit here and there, but so this is your swatch card. There are directions on the back if you've never used one of these before. We do suggest that you wet your brush and pull some of the color off onto, let's say, a piece of plastic or a palette, even a stamp block, and work from there. It's something called a sizing that is on watercolor paper. And that's what makes watercolor paper kind of resist water. That's what makes it so that things kind of sit on top before it soaks in. But the more you add water, the more that you kind of scrub at that, it wears away that sizing. And so eventually this paper is going to start absorbing your wet paint and you're not going to have as much color. So to extend the life of your paints, we do suggest that you kind of pull your colors off onto a palette and work from there rather than getting a ton of water, just sitting on this card. But there is a ton of paint here, and something that I started a few months ago for you guys is started doing these color grids. And so I wanted to show you how to maximize. Yes, you've got 7 colors. That is a lot of colors, but you can get even more than those 7 colors. So this is a free PDF printable that I have linked down below for you guys. Now, this one I did struggle. My scanner is not a high quality scanner. And so I did notice that it was having a little bit of a difficult time with some of the colors, like this pale red here. It was not getting the true like aubergine of this mix here. And so, maybe you want to kind of screen grab this to see. I may play with it a little bit more before I post this video, but I also need to drive to Sprouts, which is like an hour away. So, and I need to get this video up before the kit sells out. So we're on a time crunch here. But what I've done is this is the 7 colors up here at like full strength. And this is the 7 colors, which is more water, less pigment. And then this works like a multiplication grid, right? So if you want to see what happens when you mix the green and the red, you're going to go to where they meet and you're going to get this really yummy chocolate brown. And then the bottom half is the same concept. It's the same mix, but with more water to it. So you can kind of see the differences in, depending on the mixes that you do. Now, I try to do kind of an even mix of the colors, but if let's say that you want this red to shift a little bit more to the red side, then you'll add more of the red. If you want it to be a little more on the green side, then you'd add more of the green than the red. So you can shift even these colors, different directions depending on what you add. But one interesting thing is this gray titanium. Think about titanium white if you've ever seen that. So this is a little like heavier of a pigment. And so it really kind of mutes. It'd almost be like if you were adding white to these colors, but it's a gray white that's being added. So you can see you're never really going to get a super, super intense color when you add in that gray titanium. But I want to show you've got really great colors here, but you can get even more neutrals. And this particular palette, you really can get a lot of really good neutrals because you've got complementary colors. We've got that green and the red, which are opposite, going to give you that brown. let's say you mix this purple from the red and the blue, and then you add a little bit of this Pompeii red in there, then you could get kind of a grayish brown from those because you've got the purple and the orange. So I didn't do that mix, but if you started mixing 3 colors, you could get even more. But you can see you have lots of like browns and dirty greens. This one here, kind of a grayish brown if you're mixing that German greenish raw umber with some of the Payne's blue gray. You get kind of this grayish brown. So really, really lots and lots of colors just with those 7. So again, that is going to be a free PDF printable linked down below for you guys if you want to take advantage of that. All right, next up we have the kit sticker. So this is a white opaque sticker. A lot of people use these in the front of their Bible to indicate what kits they have in that Bible. You can attach it to a different journal if you're working in a journal. Last month, I did a video showing you how I made this journal, and so I'll link that video down below. It shows you this Japanese stitching style using some of the vintage papers that By the Well released last month, and I'm using this for the sermon series notes. Now, there will be a new sermon series notes released later this month in the shop. So if you're doing that series, there are more coming. But this might be a great option for this month's kit if you want to create a little journal to work in. But you could use this sticker on the front of it to indicate that this journal goes with that kit. Now, there are traveler's notebooks that you can purchase to go along with it, but I like this with the 6x8 size. It's a little bit, larger. And, I like that I'm utilizing pattern papers. So this might be an option for you if you're looking for a different way to work through your kits. So there's that sticker. Next, we have the journaling cards. So there are 3 journaling cards. These are 3x4. They have scripture on the front. So you have Revelation 4:11, Psalm 100 verse 4, and then Luke 22:19. I love this little critter. There aren't a ton of critters in here, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to get a What's in My Cart video done. You'll notice I didn't get a chance to get to it last month. I am going to include some items in this video that are available in the shop still, but maybe go through your stamps. I know that there are critter stamps from By the Well. Pull those out. Use those this month. I know that there was some stamps that had like orange slices and things like that. So go through your stash, pull out things. These cabins, you'll see these throughout the release as well. And then on the back side, they are dot grid with that kind of translucent print from the front. So these are great for taking notes, adding prayers, tucking into pockets, things like that. So you get 3 of those. Next, we have the stickers. So let me start with the clear stickers. So you get 2 sheets of these. These are translucent stickers, meaning you can see through them. They melt right into your page. You can put these over the Bible text and be able to see through them. Just keep in mind that darker images are going to be a little trickier to see the text, but you can, see things through them. That also works on the negative side. If you've got a really crazy busy background and you stick one of these on it, you're going to see the background through it. So just be mindful when you're using these. If you've never used clear stickers, if you have a really busy background and you're wanting to use one of these, sometimes I will just stick these onto a piece of cardstock. So maybe if I had some leftover packaging, like the backers to the journaling cards, I'll stick it on here and then fussy cut it out and then turn it into like an ephemera piece rather than a sticker is, an alternative way that you can use these. But this one has just some really beautiful elements. I love the kind of grandma style chair there, right? That really big, bold print. I say grandma because I was like, my grandma was really big into big, bold prints on furniture. Some clocks and lanterns, books. So you may notice, some things like last month we had lots of books. So you could pull in some of your leftover bits from last month and use those. Grapes, love this little grouping of pumpkins and pine cones. The boots. These branding pieces are cut out as stickers as well, so you could use those to create tabs if you wanted to. This sheet, I love the dried herbs. I have some hanging not as beautifully as this in my kitchen right now. You've got the little squirrel and a birdhouse. There is a typewriter. So if you got leftover typewriters from last month, pull those out. And then you've got the faux washi. So these are 5 different patterns of washi. So they are translucent like washi. They melt into the page. They don't tear like washi tape. You do need to kind of put a little nip into it with your scissors and then tear it. And also it does not come off the page like washi tape. So once you stick these down, they're stuck. Do not try to pull it off your page. You will tear your page. But they are nice and, they stick better than washi tape, I feel like, which is good. I love, love, love this vintage floral pattern. I would like to have seen more of this. I really, really love this. But you've got the gingham, that floral, kind of just a distressed, kind of water damaged piece. You've got leaves and then burlap, some vintage burlap. Again, these are in your digitals. So if you're wanting additional pieces of this, you can print those in your digitals and have additional pieces. So those are the clear stickers. Last but not least, we have the alpha stickers. So this is that leaf pattern scaled down on the alphas. These are an opaque sticker. And then you've got numbers to coordinate. Plenty of numbers here to number 1 through 14, but you also have the option to do like verse addressing if you want to do that. But they did include these this month as well. So this sheet changes every month. It's been different shapes and icons and things like that. So this month we are getting the 1 through 14. That's how many days are in the devotional. And there are all of these canning jars. How cute. I just bought more honey yesterday, but not in an adorable jar like this because my honey guy was not on the side of the road where he's usually at. So there are the stickers. And then even the backer sheet can be used. So this is the backer sheet that comes with all of those goodies. You've got this plaid pattern and then this houndstooth pattern. So you could cut tabs out of this, cut shapes, journaling bits, utilize even the packaging for the kit. So there is a look at the kit for a biblical thanks. Again, there are only a few of these left. They are likely going to sell out. So you may want to go ahead and grab this. They do not restock devotional kits at this time. I know they used to do some, but they are not restocking any kits at this time. So if you miss it, you miss it. So go ahead and grab that. So let me pull on some of the extras and we can go through those. Okay, so I'm going to show these next so I don't forget them because I often forget these. So you do get free printables that come with the kit when you order the kit, but in addition to those, there is a set of printables that you can purchase that coordinates with the release. So this comes with all of these pages that I have here is in the file when you purchase the file. So there are things like pattern papers. So you've got this blue kind of gingham plaid pattern, blue polka dots on some like distressed text on the background. This one's super fun. So this month we got the privilege, the team got the privilege of contributing to one of the products. So, and we'll see that in the cards here in a minute, but we were asked to send in a favorite recipe that we have for this time of year written out. So this is actually our handwriting. And then they took that and turned it into a pattern paper, but they also turned it into another really fun product that you will be seeing. We've got this yellow plaid. So printables are great because yes, you can use them for Bible journaling, but you can also use them for home decor projects. I have used printables in the past to do bunting banners. I've used printables to add to cookie boxes to dress them up, create gift tags, things like that, table decor, all kinds of things with printables. I did see my friend Crystal out here in the community. She works with a lot of ByTheWell4God stuff. She just did her entire daughter's birthday party with the products and printables from ByTheWell. She did invitations and created a bunting and just all kinds of really cute things with the printables and add-ons from a kit. You've got this brown and yellow houndstooth, an orange gingham with some like little distressed spots on there. This tile mosaic. You will see this later on in the stamps. And then these two sheets. So my printer, unfortunately, is giving out, and it really bums me out because it's kind of an expensive printer, but for some reason it's not taking this type of paper anymore. But this is a cardstock that I printed these on. There's this file that has 4 library cards. Now these are nice large cards. If you're wanting them to be scaled down, then print scaled down. Print it at 75%, 50%. Pull it into an editing program like Canva is free online, or Photoshop, or one of those products online to manipulate files. I've done videos manipulating printables. Silhouette Studio is a free program. You don't have to have the cutting machine to use Silhouette Studio's program to manipulate printables, but you do get these 4 library cards. These you can use for taking notes, writing prayers, typing out verses. But I have in the past used these as like a filing system. So in the front of one of my Bibles, I had a little pocket and I had a bunch of these cards. And every time I would journal a page, I would document it on one of these cards. So I put the date that I journaled and then the verse that I journaled. And it was just a good visual to see kind of where I was at, spending a lot of time in the Bible. So maybe some other books that I wanted to go spend some time at, some different areas in there. And then also seasons in my life as I would, be journaling daily. And then maybe it would be like 4 months before I get to journal again. And it was just kind of a good visual for me. And also just, so I can make quick reference of going and seeing, where those journaled pages were. But you don't have to use these as like library cards. You could just use these as journaling. Also, these are really fun, like fabric prints. They're really bold. This one you may want to write on with like a white gel pen, but you can also print these at a lower opacity. So if you bring them into Canva, you can lower the opacity of the file, and that's going to give it more of a translucent look, paler look, so it's a little bit easier to write on if you want it to be kind of like the back of, journaling cards, not these ones, but typically the journaling cards are a little bit muted to write on. So you can do that just by editing, in a program. So there's that. And the last page is this set, yours won't be cut off, set of prayer cards, tabs, and then some icons down here. So these are so fun. I love this idea of writing down prayers and, you can put the date, maybe a verse that you're praying for that person, the person or thing that you're praying about. And then you can come back and mark whether it was answered or not. And I love this, especially when we're talking about thankfulness, being able to look back and see all the times that God has answered our prayers, big and small. In fact, just this morning, I was in the shower and I was like, man, I haven't had insomnia in a couple of weeks. Like I have slept all the way like till 4:30. I would like to sleep a little longer than 4:30, but I'm not getting up at 1 and then 3 and, waiting until midnight to go to bed because I can't fall asleep. And so that was something I had prayed about for many weeks. I suffered from insomnia. And so in the shower, I'm like shaving my legs, like, thank you, God. Thank you for answering that prayer. And I'm sorry that I didn't acknowledge it when I realized it, but, thank you for answering that prayer for me and allowing me to not have insomnia. Doesn't mean that insomnia is not going to come back again down the road, but for now, I'm going to enjoy that. So I like the idea of documenting our prayers. If you've been watching me for the last few years, I do a lot more prayer journaling in my Bibles and journals and things now that I ever did, and then more my note taking in other formats. So I like this idea. So those are the printables that you can purchase to go along with the release. Now moving along to add-ons. Now, I think pretty much everything is in stock. There is one stamp I know for a fact that is sold out. There are no more bundles available because that stamp is gone. The bundles are an option that are available pretty early on with the sale. If you know that you're going to buy most everything, the bundle just puts everything together and then you get the printables for free. I was going to say something about that. Oh, during the release week, the kit itself is for a lower price. So you can get the kit for $27.50 rather than the $30 that it goes up to after release week. And during release week, you also get the stamps for a discounted price when you order the kit. So take advantage of, shopping early. You can save a little bit of money if you're able to. So there's 2 sets of journaling cards. I think I've mixed mine up while I was filming yesterday, but there is this first set. Now these are yours will be packaged in the order as they appear in the devotional content. So the verse and the word, and they are 2 separate sets. So there's no overlap between the words and verses between the 2 sets. So you can do both and not have overlap. But this one has that burlap pattern in the background. And I love that they started doing this a couple months ago where they do a set with the word and the verse on a label. So you can use the card in its entirety, just like this, or you can fussy cut out the label and just use the label. I've been using these for many years and, I was trying to come up with creative ways to make these so they're just not a rectangle on my page. So I would cut corners off or make them into tabs or, all kinds of various things. And so I like now that we can just cut out the tab or cut out the label and just have it as a label on our page. So these you can use for layering elements, or you can use them to actually prompt some word study. I love word studies. I'm sure that my pastor thinks that I'm just living on my cell phone on Sundays, but I'm not. I am, but I'm not. I'm not on social media or checking my emails. I'm doing word studies. I'm looking up commentaries during the sermon, but a lot of times I'm looking up word studies. So these are great to do that with. And then this set is that houndstooth pattern in a variety of colors that coordinate with the kit. So you can see all of those beautiful fall colors. And these are kind of more their traditional style, where it's the word in the center and then the verse down in the corner there. And then the back is just that houndstooth print. So you could do your note-taking on the back if you wanted to. So there are 2 sets of the flashcards this month. All right, next we have journaling cards, and there are several sets of journaling cards this month. So there are these ones here. These are autumn chapels. These are beautiful. I love when they do these kind of picturesque style cards. There's nothing else on the front other than the image. So you could type out something on here. You could add some ephemera to it. You could, there are lots of different things you could do to add some embellishment to this if you wanted to, but you don't have to. And then the back gives you room to journal. These are so pretty. So these are all these really beautiful fall chapels. I think these would be great, tags, cut them into tags to put on packaging. Again, place settings. You could do something really pretty with these. I mean, how beautiful are all of these chapels? They're just, it makes me want to pull out my paints. We started painting outside in my painting class this week, doing some impressionism style painting, and I'm loving it. I wish it looked like this on our college campus. It does not. It's ugly. It's not as pretty as these scenes. So there are autumn chapels. Next up, we have recipe style study cards. So one thing I like about By the Well is they really do encourage you to study. It isn't just about all of the pretty things. They like coming up and adding in new study resources. And this is one of those things. So you get 3 of each style, and there's 4, colorway styles. So it's kind of formatted like a recipe card, but it's a study card. So you can put the topic that you're studying or the person that you're studying, whatever it might be, the book, chapter, verse, and then you've got places to take notes and then a date. And then there is more room on the back to take notes. I love this for doing kind of more in-depth study. I think these are absolutely wonderful. And I like that they are in, a neutral color that goes along with this fall theme, but they're that vintage that can go along with future studies as well. I kind of hope that they keep these in the shop, maybe add them into their basics line, their essentials line. Okay, this is the specialty item that I was sharing with you. So this is the team recipe cards. The other sets have 12 cards. This set has 13, a baker's dozen, goes along with the whole baking theme. And so these are really unique and fun. So these are recipe cards. They have a fraction of the recipe on them, but each one of us contributed. So you've got Taryn, she's got her dad's recipe, Shannon, Gail, mine, I did a cocoa cream pie. I have substituted coconut milk to make it dairy-free, and it's so good. My family always asks for this recipe, and it's very easy. Anne Marie, Laura, Judy, Angela, Mindy, Jessa, and Lenora. She shared one of her mother-in-law's recipes. Stephanie, and then Lori. And there are some really great recipes. I mentioned the pecan pie. I think it's Mindy did a pecan pie dip. My husband loves pecan pie. I am so excited to try these. Now, obviously these aren't the entire recipe, and we're just using these like journaling cards, right? There's a grid on the back, but save your packaging, because on the back of here is a QR code. If you scan this, it will take you to the full recipe for each one of these recipes that you see. So if you're looking for some new recipes for your Bible study, for your women's group, for your family dinners that we are getting drugged to this season, some of us really love them. Some of us don't love this season as much. Here are some new recipes that maybe you can give a try and test out. I'm I'm excited about these. I think this is such a cute and unique idea. So that printable paper was all of our handwriting put into the background of that paper, which is really fun. So those are the journaling cards. Next up, we have the labels. We're getting kind of into some of the staple things that we see from By the Well each month. So you get 5 sheets of these, 3 stickers on each sheet. These are opaque stickers, dot grid, line grid, journaling lines in colors that coordinate with the kit. So these are one of the things that I file in that container after my kit is done, because we can use these with different things. Alphas, we have tile alphas. So again, 5 sheets of these. And I had never realized until recently that they're the same colors as your labels. Who knew this? I just found this out like, I don't know, 3 kits ago. They're the same color. I did not know that, you guys. I'm telling you. I cannot wait till school is done and I can just slow down and focus more on this part of my life. Let me tell you. So you've got alphas, numbers, and punctuation in these. So 5 sheets of those. We've got 2 different sets of clear alphas. So they've added a new style recently. So we have the traditional, this is the style that you see in the devotional kit, right? In the devotional kit, it's opaque stickers. These are clear stickers or translucent stickers, but this is that same pattern that you see in the devotional. And then you get 6 additional sheets in colors that coordinate with the release. Love that. There are little ampersands and hearts in here too. I actually use the hearts a lot more than I thought I would. I've been using those up like crazy. And then this is a new style that they added a few months ago. This is like a larger tile alpha, but these are clear in this fun kind of whimsical font. So there's 2, 4, 6 sheets. Why do I feel like I'm missing? I guess there's 6. 2, 4, 6. Yep. So there is a sheet of numbers. And then you've got 5 colors. Are these the same colors? These are the same colors, guys. Look at all these things that I'm figuring out. Oh, this is more of a burgundy than an orange, but similar colors. So everything coordinates and mixes and matches and goes together. So there's 2 sets of clear alpha stickers. Next, we have the Traveler's Notebooks. So there's 2 different sets of Traveler's Notebooks. I have set number 2, but each set comes with 2 Traveler's Notebook journals. These are created in the same way that the devotional booklet is created. So it's that same nice thick cardstock on the front and then that really smooth, thick paper on the inside. They're just blank. So the point behind these are to be able to take notes, right? You've got that pretty gingham on the inside. So this one has this really beautiful kind of floral pattern. And then I had to have the handwriting one. So you could take these and deconstruct them. You know, I've done some deconstructed devotionals where I take the staples out and I bind these with extra papers in them. I've bound them with a coil bind. I've bound them with, you know, ring binder type binding. But I was thinking you could also do this Japanese style binding. So you could take this and create a journal kind of similar to how I did with this, adding extra papers or, you know, make a junk journal out of it. That is one way that you can use these, or just use them as is. They're good for, you know, taking notes, sermon notes, grocery lists. I have like a million places I need to go today. My list is very long. All right. This is where the fun part comes in. We'll show the papers first. That way you can see these because I did use some of the papers for my tutorial for the stencils. So papers are 6 by 8. You get 24 pages, 3 of each design, and they are double-sided. So I've gone ahead and pulled them out so you can kind of see those designs. A side is usually kind of the more bold print side. You've got some really, really fun like fabric textures throughout the papers. Look at this. I mean, it looks like it would feel fuzzy. I'm pretty sure my son has a jacket with the same plaid on it, but it's not. It's printed paper, but it's really, really, really detailed. They do such high quality papers over at By the Well. This one here, the polka dot, really, really beautiful. And then the back side are kind of the breather papers, right? These are a little bit more on the subdued side as far as print goes. You can see this, you're really seeing more of like the color shine through. you're looking at these more as a color than a pattern, but they do have patterns. So there's that really fun vintage burlap. You've got this grungy kind of peeling paint wall. This is like a red linen. This is a gray linen. I mean, they're just really, really, really pretty papers. Very high quality. So these are what I used when I put together my journal last month. I used the pattern papers from By the Well to add into this journal that gave me a spot where I could create, right? So that is one way to use them, but I wanted to start using the papers in some other ways. And so that is where the stencils came in. So there are 3 stencils this month. Farmhouse Frise, I think is how you're going to say it, is the one that's available with the purchase of the kit, I believe, if I remember correctly. So this one you can only get when you're buying the kit. The other 2 you can add on and will be standalone stencils. This month you're going to want all 3. This is such a good set of stencils. These are designs that I can see myself using over and over. These are probably some of my favorite stencils I've seen from By the Well. Like the best release I've seen. Like I can see myself using all 3 of these over and over and over again. And so a lot of times I will tell you guys that I do paper embossing with stencils, right? You've heard me talk about that in a lot of my unboxing videos about embossing paper with stencils. And so let me show you. So running a piece of paper with a stencil through my die cutting machine and pressing that texture into paper. Now, you can use these just by blending ink, spraying sprays through. I've done like watercolor through them. I kind of feel like I have a Tip Tuesday all about stencils. I'll see if I can dig that out and find it. But I added some other techniques that I wanted to show you in this particular video. So these are the pattern papers from the release. I ran them through my die cutting machine, which I will be showing you detailed how I do that. And then I tried a new technique that I've never done before. So I'm going to show you how to do all that. But you'll see it almost looks like chalk is put over the top of this, but it's not. It is pressed into the paper, and then I do another technique over the top. I love this. So if you're familiar with embossing folders, that's these. These press the texture into paper, right? We can add inks to these to put color on there if we want to. But that's pretty much all you can do with these, right? Is texturize paper. So I love that with stencils, you get a little more bang for your buck because you can use them as traditional stencils, but you can also use them as like embossing folders to add texture. So what I have is a Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine. Now, let me preface this by saying every die cutting machine is different. Every machine is going to have a different sandwich. And even within those companies, sometimes every machine, how it's produced is a little bit different. So you may need to adjust your pressure by adding, shims of cardstock in there to adjust your pressure. But I'm going to show you what I do for mine. Now, do you have to have the die cutting machine? I think it does make a difference. I have not tried it yet. I wanted to try maybe using like a spongy mat and like a rolling pin to see if maybe I could get the texture put through the stencil since the stencil isn't super, super thick. So maybe experiment with that on your own. Basically we're applying pressure to the paper in the stencil to push the paper through the stencil. So maybe, I don't know, get creative. But I invested in one of these years ago and it was the best thing that I ever did. Actually, I'm not telling 100% the truth. I did invest in a die cutting machine. I have since given that to somebody else. This one was sent to me by Spellbinders for review, but I have used it so much so that's why I had invested money in the first one that I had. So well worth the money spent. Christmas is kind of coming up. Put it on your Christmas list. I have also purchased the universal plate system for the Spellbinders. So this machine does come with a set of plates, but you need to have this floppy embossing mat for this technique. So some machines come with this already. I think the Sizzix line comes with the floppy mat, but I think with Spellbinders, you have to buy it separate. But I use this. This plate system has also been invaluable. It's made a huge difference when I'm using those 3D embossing folders like I just showed you from Tim Holtz. it just makes a big difference. So it has a set of different sandwiches depending on what you're doing on the plate system. On the website, they also have some additional combinations. And so I printed this out and adhered it to my machine and marked the one that I use most frequently for my 3D dies. But I'm going to show you how I do the embossing with the stencils. So I use my platform base A. To get the right pressure, I have to use platform base B as well. This is a thinner plastic one. I also use the F shim. So this is just building up thickness so that I get more pressure when it goes through my machine. And this is kind of the star of the show. So this is E. This is your floppy embossing mat. And so that is what lets things kind of flex and push through the stencil. So that's my bottom sandwich. That's going to go into my machine. And then I'm going to take a piece of paper. I like to spray the front and the back just once. That's going to help relax the fibers of the paper so that way it molds into the stencil without as much like cracking and tearing and things like that. So it also helps it kind of stick a little bit so it's not shifting and moving quite as much. So there is that. And then I'm going to take a stencil. I'm going to use the Autumn Sun stencil. I'm going to lay that over the top of my paper. And then I'm going to top it with adapter plate D. So this is thicker than the clear cutting plates that come with your machine or also come with the universal plate system. Again, we're really building, we don't have a die in here. A die is much thicker than our stencil, right? So we're having to fill in the gaps and create pressure. So that is my sandwich. And then I'm going to run this through once away from me and then once towards me. That's what works for me. I find that if I run it through many more times than that, it starts kind of shifting and moving. You'll notice that the squishy mat is oozing out. Not a problem. Don't stress about that. It works out just fine. But like I said, if I take this out and run it through a couple more times, then I start getting like some ghosting and weird things happening because things are shifting in the machine. So just once away, once towards you. And then what you'll see is it's pressed that texture into the paper. I don't think you'll be able to see it on this side as much, but this is now raised texture, and that is how I get that dry embossed. Now, do you have to do that with stencils? Absolutely not, but I just wanted to show you because I know I get a lot of questions about that. So now I'm going to show you the next technique. I am going to dry this just a little bit. I found that works a little better. Okay, so this is the trick that I discovered, and I think this is going to be so enjoyable for you guys. So this is a product that I noticed By the Well had in their shop a few months ago. If it's still in the shop, I'll link it down below. If it's not, I'll link it from somewhere else. But these are sanding discs from Tim Holtz. So these are little, like it says, sanding discs, little discs of sandpaper that attach to our blending tools, right? So normally we use like a foam on here to blend ink. That one's looking really beat up to blend. But this is sandpaper that will attach to that. Now, could you use sandpaper or sanding block? Absolutely. But what I like about this is it's small and firm. So because we're using the stencil, it's not a super raised, bit with the paper. It's very little bit of texture as opposed to using an embossing folder. So if I'm using sandpaper, it's going to flex and move and hit the low areas of the paper that I don't want to hit. I'm only wanting to sand the paper off of the topmost part of the stenciling. So if you've worked with ByTheWell4God papers before, they're really high quality, but there's a little bit of a coating on them. So sometimes it can be hard to use our distressed products, right? Our sprays, our inks kind of want to sit on top of the paper and don't quite want to dry all the way, or they just can be a little bit fussy. And so I was trying to think of a way to incorporate those into the papers, and this works. So I'm just going to very lightly sand away the top most part of that image. And so you'll see it's starting to turn white. That's because I'm sanding away the printed areas that's on that paper, and I'm revealing the white core of the paper. And you'll see it almost looks like chalk, or if you've ever worked with flocking, like I know they have some flocking embossing powders. They might be discontinued. I haven't seen them in a long time, but it even almost has that texture because you're roughing up the paper that's underneath it. And so it has this velvety, soft feel to it. But what we're also doing is removing the coating. So now things can stick to these white portions a little easier. So you can go in with your distress inks and, you know, various products like that, and it's going to stick to the white part. So I'm going to rub off all the fuzzies. Now you'll see I was not really being careful and taking my time like I did on my samples. So I did kind of hit the paper in areas that I didn't want to. So that just means I was pressing too hard. So you want to just make sure that you're just barely touching the raised areas. It's not going to be perfect. The idea is this is going to be distressed, right? So I'm trying to see where my samples went. Okay. So here you can see what that looks like with just the white, which is beautiful. I would leave that just as is, just like that. But I want to show you some other treatments that you can do. So now, before you do it, learn from me. You're probably thinking, I've done some techniques where I have, you know, if you want things to be done to the design, sometimes I'll lay the stencil back over and then do my treatments. Do not think that you can do that and then sand through this. It will scratch up your stencil. Trust me, I tried it. I knew it would scratch up my stencil, and it also doesn't get deep enough to rub off the paper. So don't do that. Just scratch it off without the stencil. But now we can put the stencil back on and we can do things like add distress ink. You don't have to add the stencil back on, but I found that this just makes sure that I'm not getting the ink in areas where I don't want it. I only want that ink, you know, on the white areas, the design area of the stencil. So now I can go through and add that ink, and it's showing up so much better than if I was to go, I don't know, this is gonna be kind of hard to see, but there's some red raised area here, and I can add ink. I mean, and it will change a little bit, but it's not as stark of a change as when you do it over the sanded areas. And because it's coated, I mean, I can go and wipe it off a little bit. But another way that this is going to be really amazing is if you have distress glazes. So I know a lot of people like me have invested in these because they're in the distress color line, so everything matches. These are unique embossing glazes because they're translucent, like the translucent sticker paper. You can see through this. So if you emboss this over the top of something, it'll come through, whether that's a stamped image, a pattern, or a color. So let me show you what I mean. And I meant to not do the whole thing. So let me do another one so that you can see what I'm talking about. Hold on one second. Okay, now I've used up every single piece of this red paper that I have, but now I can kind of show you in comparison. So I'll go ahead and do the treatment of the ink over the top on this side. So then you can see what I'm talking about, the difference that you get if you scrape away the top layer. Can you guys tell that I'm just ready to be... I'm sorry, I love doing these videos, but I really have filmed this so many times. And I keep it's just not going as smooth as I would like it to. Let me just say that. Okay, so I'm going to blend this through. So you can see, I don't know, there's a little bit of ink that's catching on there, but not quite as much as what you're getting here. And then let me go ahead and show you with the embossing glaze. So I am going to prep this with my EK Success powder tool. That's one thing that I forgot in my last video. That's going to make sure that my glaze only sticks to the areas that I want it to stick. And then I'm going to clean my stencil. Okay, so I'm going to add this back on there. And what this is doing is allowing me to only add the treatments to the areas that I want it to, remember? So I'm gonna go in with Versamark Clear Sticky Ink. And if I go directly to the page, there's a chance that this pad is gonna touch areas that I don't want it to, right? I only want it to touch the high points of this image. So by adding this stencil back over the top of there, now I can swipe this over it, and it's only going to go through the stencil. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Much easier to line up since I can see it, right? I'm going to add clear sticky ink to that, and I'm not going like perfect. All right, we're trying to not make this a 2-hour video. Okay, so now I'm going to add some of this peeled paint distress glaze, and this is where you're really going to see why it's beneficial to sand away that top layer first. Okay, so we got that. Going to apply it to here. I'm just tapping off the excess. I can put this back into the container. Don't throw that away. Clean up my mess so I do not heat emboss it to my table. All right, and then I am going to heat set these and melt that embossing glaze off camera, and I'll come back and show you the difference. All right, so this is the best way to be able to see how these glazes work. So you can see this isn't wrong. I don't hate this. I like this look, but it's supposed to be green, right? That's the color of this distressing glaze. But because it is translucent, it's being affected by the color that's underneath it. And if we know color theory, red and green are complementary colors, which means they're going to give you a muddy color when they work together. So you're going to get a brown, like we saw on the color grid, right? With the watercolor. So you're getting a brown, which is pretty if I want brown. But let's say I want that green and the red, because again, they're complementary colors. So the green sitting on the red is really going to pop. Red sitting on green, really going to pop because they are complementary colors. So now that we've added it to the scratched off image, it's staying green. The only difference between these two is that I sanded it first. And let's ignore that it's bad sanding because it'll take your time. But I mean, you can even see here where it touched, where it wasn't sanded. When I heated it, it's brown instead of green. So I love this. I think it's going to allow us to do really fun techniques with our stencils. Of course, we can always put paint, put sprays, things like that through them. Is really creative, but I like this idea of being able to do more with them, right? So one last technique I want to show you with the stencils, and this one in particular is going to be perfect. You probably have seen me do this technique a few times on my channel recently. Let me find watercolor paper. There we go. Is stamping with a stencil. So for this technique, it takes very specific stencils. So stamping with a stencil is not necessarily going to work with these two. And that is because there's too much stencil material. These white areas are there's too much of it. So you're not going to get as good of an impression. And it's not going to give you the effect that you want. When you use a stencil, when you're blending ink, you're blending ink through these dark areas, right? So that's the design that you see on the page. Everywhere where you see brown, that's the design that would be left on your page. Same with this one. This is the design that would be left on your page. But let's say that I want the white, right? So I want to see the white part on my page as color. Let me try to explain that to you. So to do that, you can stamp with it. And it's like I said, only works with specific stencils. More delicate stencils, but not too intricate. There's been some really lacy, doily style ones that are just too intricate. This one is actually the perfect one for it. So I like to use water reactive mediums like distress spray stains. This kind of gives me the best. You could also stamp out ink, add water. That will work as well. But you want kind of a more fluid liquid material that you're going to be stamping with. So I have some faded jeans. I'm going to put a little bit of that on there. I have some hickory smoke. These are all distress spray stains. Put a little bit of that on there. I went to class yesterday with ink all over my hands. And then rusty hinge. I really like that color. Okay, I am going to add just a little spray of water to get that to bead up a little bit more. But you don't want it too sopping wet. Again, this is one of those. Grab some paper towel. One of those techniques where it takes just the right stencil, just the right amount of ink, and you're just going to have to play around with it. So you can stamp directly onto your Bible page. Just keep in mind, these products do bleed through your page. So Keep that in mind. You might want to stick to just doing this technique on other papers and then putting it into your Bible. So I'm actually going to stick this stencil down into that ink, and you can move your stencil around a little bit. Just keep in mind that if you get too much mixing, you're going to make mud. You're going to have gross colors. I want to really keep the orange and the gray and the blue kind of separate. So now you can see I have that color is beating up on the back of my stencil. And now I'm going to stamp it down onto my page. I'm going to put some paper towel over it. This is going to help soak up any of that extra ink that's oozing out from underneath my stencil. And then when I pull this up, you'll see you get this really, really beautiful, delicate design. And so this makes really great backgrounds that are just more delicate, just softer, just different than if you blend ink through, right? So let me dry this and I'll show you the different designs. Okay, so here's with it stamped. And then if I flip this over and do, I'm trying to find a non-crusty paintbrush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this color in my brush. I'm going to very gently kind of brush this over my stencil, and you'll be able to see the difference that you get. Not paying attention to so much the mix of color. I mean, there's obviously, you're getting a different kind of mix of color when you stamp with it, right? I can get a lot of different colors in there. But I just want to show you how that's beautiful. I love that. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This is a great stencil for both directions. But you can see you get more color on the page, right? Because you're going through the holes. The holes are bigger than the stencil detail. So you're just getting two different images. You're getting this one that's got a lot more color versus this that's much more delicate. Two completely different looks depending on how you utilize the stencil. So I know that took some extra time, but I'm hoping that gave you guys some inspiration and some ideas. I had a lot of feedback. Out of all the answers to my question box that I got for today's video, the majority was people asking for inspiration for the stencils because you feel like you're just not utilizing them in the best way. So I hope that gives you some options for ways to use them. So let's keep moving along here. Hopefully you guys grabbed a snack, got comfy, because this is turning out to be a very long video. Okay, let's take a look at stamps. And so there are 5 new stamps releasing with the release. There are also some extras, but we'll talk about these first. So these are only available with the purchase of the kit during the first part of the sale. And those are when you can get them that time is when you can get them at a discounted price. After the initial release week, the remainder of these stamps gets listed in the shop for full price. So to get these stamps during the release, you can only order them alongside the kit initially. We'll start with this one because this one did unfortunately sell. Well, I say unfortunately. Unfortunately for you guys, this one sold out. Fortunately for ByTheWell4God, this one sold out. Now, they will not be restocking stamps this go round. That's just not something that they're doing right now. So this one will not be restocked. But for those of you that got it, take advantage of these label pieces. So these label pieces do fit on the jars. So cute. But these will be good pieces to use individually and on their own as well. There are little words that fit in there. I love the canning jars. I'm all about that. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that just because that one's been sold out. But I had mentioned in the papers that we would see this one in the stamps. This is one I could see potentially selling out as well. I think this is a beautiful stamp. Do not be intimidated by the black. You can stamp them in colors to create a tile mosaic. These are individual stamps. So there's 6 stamps on here. You can mix and match and create your own backgrounds. I love, love, love tile stamps for backgrounds. You can create, the whole page covered in these, but I like to do just little spot treatments, just little staggered spot treatments of a stamp like this. You can stamp it just in solid color like you see here, or, like I sprayed those sprays out on the plastic, you could do that, pick up the color with the stamp and then stamp it down, and then you're getting this really pretty wash of color on these stamps. I think this is going to be a good one. Farmhouse tiles. Next, we have recipe cards. So again, like I was saying, there's lots of elements in this release that are great for Bible journaling, but also are encouraging us to love on other people, right? To do things outside of our Bible. And so this, I think, is a great idea. Of course, you could create your own recipe cards with these, but I love the idea of giving food as gifts, creating, make a loaf of bread. And it doesn't have to be sourdough, right? Like we love sourdough, but that's a lot of work. Make a loaf of bread and gift it to somebody. Make a box of cookies and gift it to somebody. Part of the reason I redid this video is because I kind of went on a tangent about gift giving and it didn't sound very thankful. And it was not like my intention behind it was not coming through in my words. But I think we get caught up in, more of the like, oh, I gave you something versus the heart behind what you're giving. I would love to see more handmade gifts, food items as gifts. I just know I treasure that. And I think it's just way more meaningful than a Marshall's candle. No offense to those who give Marshall's candles, but I just think we're putting a lot more thought and effort into the gift item. And it doesn't have to be expensive, guys. I know that it costs, the bread is like flour, water, yeast, right? It does cost a little bit of money, but I just keep that in my pantry. It's there all the time. I'm feeding it to my family. And so I'm not having to go out and buy something for somebody. I can just whip up a loaf of bread and give it to somebody. And so I love the idea of doing that and then giving them the recipe for it. So if you what's the saying about you can teach, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. Kind of that idea, right? And so we don't have to hoard our recipes. It's okay to share recipes with people. They're not like top secret. We can share them. And so creating recipe cards and sharing them, I think that is such a beautiful idea as we're heading into the holiday season. Now, of course, they say you can use this stamp as a real recipe card, a background texture, or even take the lines and use them as a journaling spot. So we don't have to use this just for recipe card making. We can just use them as journaling spots, but I love that idea of taking the items that we are kind of collecting and hoarding, right? Using them in a way that we can share with other people. I love that. Baking blessings, I think, could go really well with this as you're making your own recipe cards. This one has, of course, some bakery elements in it. We've got that mixer, pecan pie, just some other kitchen elements. These would be fun to paper piece with the pattern papers, but I could see, maybe getting colored paper and then stamping this kind of tone on tone in the background of your recipe card or on the back of the recipe card, making little tags to add to your gifts. I think that this would be fun for that as well. So really cute stamp set. And then falling leaves. This is going to be a beautiful one for this time of year as well. This is a repeating stamp. So if you stamp this down and then line up this edge with this edge, you can repeat it. I think this would be fun to stamp and emboss with clear embossing powder and then paint in it, also creating backgrounds. I know some of us, we don't have time or don't have the mental capacity, right, to create an entire journaling page and design it all. But maybe you just want to play with your paints, play with your sprays, and create backgrounds. Create a really pretty fall colored background like those leaves, and then stamp this over the top of it. And then you would have that coming through. Stamp and emboss it in gold on colored cardstock would be really pretty. This would be wonderful for doing cards, but also just like a stream of leaves down the side of a page, down the center of the page. I think that this is going to be a really pretty fun one to do. So there is falling leaves. In addition to those, there are some stamp sets that are available as add-ons. They are full price. There's a new set of I think it's plaid Big Idea alphas. So those coordinate with the Big Idea outlined alpha. They are standalone or they work to fill in these outline alphas. I will have photos up here of them. So there's alphas and numbers. The alphas are 6x8. The numbers are 4x6, I believe. So that is a stamp that you can grab, or stamps, I should say. And then there are some Christmas postage stamps. That's a 4x6. And then there is an alpha stamp that is a 4x6. And I believe it's the alpha that we see in the text of this release. So there are several new stamp sets released in addition to those 5 that are available. Moving right along, we have the mini note folders. So you get a set of 8 of these. These are in really nice, high quality cardstock. These you can use in a variety of ways. I know I've shared a lot of options. These fit in the gathering boxes. This is the original color. If they have these on in the shop still, I will link them for you below, but they fit in this box if you want to use them as actual file folders. I like to use them as pockets and elements. So in here, I actually used one of the folders as a pocket. So I adhered it to the page, added glue to the two sides, and now I have a pocket that I can stick stuff into. So that is super fun. I've also used them to create little books. So I'll fold these in half, I'll stitch some paper into the inside, and then I have a little mini book that I can journal with. So lots of different ways that you can use these. They are double-sided, so depending on how you fold them, gives you a different look. And so you've got, a variety of the patterns that we've seen in the pattern papers, but also some different ones. I love this. This is something I didn't point out. So in the paints, this undersea green is very similar to this paper. So this particular green is a mix of pigments, and it has some blue pigment in it. And the blue will actually kind of separate out away from the green. And so you can see it. I know in the PDF you can see it as well. You can actually see the blue separating out. And so that has a really fun effect when you start mixing it with other colors. You can see that blue sedimentation that comes out, and it's just really, really pretty. And so that reminds me of this paper here. So there's that one with the green tile mosaic. How pretty is that? If you stamped this stamp in a background just in different tones of green, so it doesn't even have to be different colors. It could just be different tones, or even all the same green, because they are different. Some are more solid, some are less solid. You're going to get a different look, and you can create a pattern like that. I think that's really pretty. That plaid, what do we got here? This reminds me of grandma couch. Pretty sure my grandma had some upholstery like that. And then that distressed pattern there, the handwriting, and then that really pretty orange floral pattern. So 8 mini note folders. Next, we have the add-on ephemera. So they do sell the ephemera from the devotional kit as a standalone item if you want additional packs of that. But then this is an add-on set of ephemera that coordinates, that is different. So I like that they've been including these labels with some of the verses on there. Not everybody has a typewriter, so I like that you can get that look. And then lots and lots of leaves. And so this is what I was talking about with that leaf stencil. If you created some really pretty colorful backgrounds, or not stencil, I'm sorry, leaf stamp, and stamped that over your background, I think that would be so pretty. So it's just a whole bunch of super colorful leaves. And then you have some of these different watercolor cabins. They're just so, so pretty. Keep these in mind. I will show you a stamp set that I think would coordinate with these, but these again would also be pretty for some home decor things that you might do in place settings. I think these are just adorable. So that is the add-on ephemera that you can purchase to coordinate. We're getting there, friends. Thanks for hanging with me. I think this one's going to be even longer than yesterday's. All right, the mini stickers. So you get 2 sheets of each design. There's 4 different designs. These are translucent stickers. So you've got a sheet of the mini leaves. I'm so glad that you get 2 of these. I think we're going to be using these like crazy on our pages. All the falling leaves. A set of the cabins in the mini stickers, and then biblical thanks. This one of some of the, so these are kind of the ephemera pieces, right, from the kit, but on mini clear stickers. So 2 sets of each of those, 4 different pages. Next up we have add-on stickers. So this has postage stamps with the chapels. So these are on that translucent sticker paper as well. And then you've got that faux washi strip in the plaid. These are all cut out as stickers as well. So you can utilize those images at the top. We've got some additional pieces that we haven't seen yet. So these aren't in any of the like ephemera or anything. You've got some sweaters. Love this beautiful floral sink at the bathtub, the bird bath. this window. Remember this because I'll have a stamp set to show you. Some more typewriters, little slippers. This reminds me of Lenora and her scene building. I bet we'll see that somewhere. We've got the scripture, and I think that there are more scripture in this other set, if I remember correctly. Yes. Yep. So part of the scripture are here in clear stickers. We've got faux washi, so you've got 5 different patterns here. There's those dried herbs. It's almost like a rug texture, like a braided rug. That's pretty. So there's that. And then these, I love these. So these are the titles of each day of the devotional in clear sticker. I like to go through and actually white out the titles in my devotional, and I cover them with these when I do a deconstructed Devo style journal. So those are the add-on stickers. And then we have study bits. So these are awesome. I really love that they've started doing these. So you've got a page with some more scripture on there. So you need both sets to have all of the scripture, I believe, that are in the release. Or maybe these are the daily scriptures. I'm not 100% positive because I feel like that's maybe more scripture that's in the devotional. I'm not sure. Anyways, there's more scripture there. If somebody knows, leave a comment down below. I didn't get a chance to watch the unboxing, so I'm not 100% sure. And then you have some highlighted elements, so some little paint brushes where you can highlight verses in the colors of the release. There's some additional paint brushes. These are awesome because if you've worked in a growth book, or I know there's like various different journals, but I have done a lot of working in these growth books. I wish I had time to go back to doing these, but if you know me, I've created my own stickers for years and years and years. All of these were either, sometimes they would have a printable that had these, but most often I would have to go in and create my own version of these little icons and stickers and things. These are theirs, but I don't know. I know that there were several months where I had to go in and kind of create my own icons for my study journal. And I do this because I like to break it up. If I have just all black writing, it's too hard for me to tell the difference between what's a quote, what's a verse, what's a word study, all those different things. This makes me want to go back to working in one of these. I love seeing this, but a lot of the times I would create my own icons. So this for the study bits is perfect because they've done it for you. So you've got all of these little arrows, you've got hearts and icons and stars, to help with your studying. Of course, you can use these in your Bible as well, but these are great if you're working in like a planner, a journal, a growth book, something like that. So those are the study bits. No, not there yet. Not there yet. We have one last little pile here. So this month there are a set. Woo, buddy. I'm throwing things. We have a set of verse cards. So these they've done in the past, right? They come in these drawstring bags. They come with 2 binder rings and a set of these beautiful verse cards. Each one has its own, own thing. There's no duplicates in here. So it's a verse and then some imagery. And I've always said that these would be beautiful to display in your home, right? And maybe do some verse study or verse memorization with your kids every day, or just having scripture just in your face every day, I think is really, really important. These are also great for gift giving, wrapping these up and giving them to somebody. Create a little tag with your stamps and your papers. Or whatnot. But they recently, or for this month, designed these. These are display stands that work with your verse cards. So they come as 2 separate pieces. They're packaged really nice with a piece of paper separating them so that they don't scratch each other. They do come in 3 different wood options. I got walnut, obviously, to kind of match the other woods in my office. And then this is a symbol that represents the Trinity that is on here. And so they actually designed this and cut it out themselves. And so it's this little stand that then you can put your verse cards on and display them. How awesome is that? I saw Stephanie had hers set up in her kitchen this morning as she was pouring her coffee. I just love that you can, swap these out, be able to see the verse every day, have them on your table, your entryway. You could go through and add embellishments and things to these cards if you wanted to, but I like that they can just display on their own. So maybe if you're going to be giving these as gifts, maybe you want to pick up both items and gift those to somebody together so that they have a way to display them. I think that would just be a really beautiful gift option. Last but not least, thanks for hanging with me, guys. I wanted to show some of the stamps that are still available in the shop that will coordinate with this release. You guys know sometimes I'll do what's in my cart videos, and I pull everything. I pull stuff that's available, not available, different companies, all the things. But since this is kind of geared more towards the ideas that you're going to go to the shop and maybe do some shopping, I wanted to include some things that maybe you want to pick up in addition to the kit or some other items. Again, not pushing you to spend a ton of money, but if you, I don't know, if it's in your budget and it's something that you wanted to do, I wanted to point these out as maybe items that you missed in the past. So of course, there's the big idea outline alphas. These are 6x8s. These coordinate with those different filler textures that they have been releasing. So these are in the shop. This is S'mores. And so this was one of the freebie stamps a couple months ago, I think with Come Away. They did go ahead and release this as a purchasable stamp in the shop. And so with fall, my family does lots of s'mores as we go camping, and we have a little fire pit outside. So I thought that might be a fun one for this season. This is Holy Confidence. So remember I mentioned the cabins in the ephemera. And so this is one of those stamp sets. When I initially got it, I was like, I don't know how much I'm going to use this stamp set, but I know that I have had it in several What's in My Cart videos for different kits over the years. And so if you didn't pick it up the first time around, this might be a good time because you know, they are a little bit more modern and bright in the way that they're colored on here, but coloring them in those fall colors, those dark colors, those woods will make it tie in with the cabins from this release. Same thing with the tree. You know, of course, you could lean this winter, you could lean it into the fall, just depending on how you color them. And so I liked, if you like to do scene building and things like that, this might be a good one to pick up. So there's Holy Confidence. I love this A-frame. That just makes me think of camping. Makes me think of Hume Lake. There's a ton of these up there. I had pointed out that window sticker. And so this is Autumn Doors. And so this is from a fall release. So there are some pumpkins, some leaves. So definitely could tie in and reuse this one or pick this one up if you haven't already. I love the little lampstands that are on there. Little wall light. So cute. So there is Autumn Doors. And then, of course, lots of textures. There are a ton of fabric textures in this release. So waffle knit. There isn't necessarily a waffle knit, but I know we're starting to pull out our waffle knits here as it cools down. So that's a good background texture stamp that is available in the shop. I'm not going to individually link these. You'll just need to search the title on the shop to pull them up. Glorious Plaid. So, of course, a good plaid. Not in purple. We'll do the colors that coordinate with the kit, right? Cross stitch. Now there isn't any cross stitch necessarily in this release, but again, just going with that texture. This was for Come Away, so it's in those brighter colors, you know, the pinks and the greens, but I think this would be really pretty in those fall colors. Reminds me of quilts. And so, you know, quilts with the different fabrics that we're seeing in this release. So I thought this would be a good one to either pull back out or purchase if you haven't already purchased it. This one is an absolutely beautiful background stamp. And then quilted. This reminds me of some of those stencils. Really great, again, background stamp. This was with Come Away as well, I believe. Yes, Come Away. But stamping it in those fall colors, I think would be really pretty. So there are just a few additional stamp sets that you might want to check out in the shop, but there's a look at the entire release for A Biblical Thanks. Thank you for hanging with me. I hope that it was helpful and inspiring by adding those extra things in there. If you have questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below for me. Check out that description box for links to things that I talked about, the PDF file for the color grid, all those good things. Thank you ahead of time for those of you who shop using my affiliate link. I know there's some of you who are have been so faithful to my family in using those links to help support us. And I just can't tell you thank you enough as we are heading into even more testing and doctor's visits for my son Connor in the next month or so. It's making me a little nervous. We're, you know, coming up on we've actually passed the 1-year anniversary of him being diagnosed with epilepsy and cancer. And I thought a year out we'd be done, and we are just kind of amping up for a new battle. And so I really appreciate those of you guys who shop through my links. It means a world means the world to my family. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if it was helpful and inspiring. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.